Thank you, Colonel. I should first like to take a few moments and to make you aware of a program we now have in effect, Remembering Our Heroes. This is a program of the American Legion Sons, the marking of veterans' graves. In 2014, Squad 189 began its Remember Our Heroes program. They completed the first cemetery on their list. That was Brookside Cemetery off County Road 512. It contained about 40 grave sites. In 2015, they began work on Winter Beach Cemetery. They were able to get about 1/3 of the cemetery covered. During 2016, they were able to complete the work on Winter Beach Cemetery, and so far they have covered and flagged 300 veterans' grave sites. Now, during this coming year, we will begin work on Sebastian Cemetery, and incidentally, today our volunteers flag Sebastian Cemetery. So if you drive by, you'll see many proud veterans' graves flying our colors. Their plan is to continue on and to cover Gifford Cemetery as well. Now, this program requires that we inventory, mark, and place an American flag on each and every veteran's grave that we inventory. The flags are changed twice per year on Memorial Day and Veterans Day. We believe that the sacrifice our veterans have endured for this country should not go unnoticed. We maintain the grave sites by cleaning and repositioning the markers as needed when we change out the flags. As you pass by the local cemeteries, please take notice how proper they look. Now, the cost per grave site to the squadron is $20 per grave per year. The money is raised from contributions from the public at large and from the fundraisers we host during the year. In fact, there are samples of the markers here today. Now, this is the bronze holder, flag holder. The flag is placed in the holder, and it's marked the grave accordingly. If you would like to contribute to this program, please consider making a check payable to the Sons of the American Legion, Post 189, or dropping in the memo box, or pass by the post and drop whatever you can into the glass jar. Thanks. Today, the Lions have given us a spot to drop off our donation jar with one of these markers and holders and flags next to the popcorn machine. Thank you. And now with my partner from the Legion, United States Navy, military retiree and combat veteran, I would call upon Fred Lures to come forward. Fred will be ringing the bell after each name is read, and this is Fred's project that he has built himself. Now, the names I'm about to read to you are not all the names of the veterans that died in this area, Sebastian, because many families decided to have services elsewhere or services up north, and so the names I'm about to receive, we, the American Legion Honor Guard, Sebastian Area Honor Guard, provided full military services. Donald Picard, U.S. Army, Vietnam, May 2015. Thomas Blucher, U.S. Army, Korea, May. Stephen F. Pelletier, U.S. Navy, Vietnam, May. J.D. Wilson, U.S. Navy, World War II, May. Gregory K. Cairns, U.S. Army, Vietnam, May. James Houston, U.S. Army, Vietnam, June. Daniel Robert Pulf, U.S. Army, Vietnam, June. James B. Cadenhead, U.S. Air Force, Persian Gulf, June. Paul Seapelt, U.S. Air Force, Vietnam, June. Albert Huell, U.S. Air Force, Vietnam, June. David M. Brandt, U.S. Air Force, World War II, July. Charles Long, U.S. Air Force, Korea, Vietnam, military retiree, July. Myron Morse, U.S. Army, World War II and Korea, August. Abraham Rudolph, U.S. Army, World War II, August. Orvis Corsi, U.S. Navy, World War II, August. Joseph Simon, U.S. Navy, Korea, August. Joseph Grover, U.S. Navy, World War II, August. Gilbert Perry, U.S. Air Force, Korea, August. Everett Cave, U.S. Army, World War II, September. Robert Powers, U.S. Navy, World War II, October. Thomas R. Rogers, U.S. Marine Corps, Vietnam, October. Arunus Matthew Badonis, U.S. Air Force, Vietnam, October. James O'Donnell, U.S. Army, Vietnam, October. Jesse Dwayne Grog, U.S. Navy Seabee, Korea, October. Frank Wendell, U.S. Air Force, Korea, October. Lionel Nelson Labie, U.S. Navy, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, October. Howard Edwin Guthrie Jr., U.S. Army Air Corps, World War II, October. Buford Lee Davis, U.S. Navy, Cold War, October. William Pulowski, U.S. Air Force, Vietnam, November. Conrad M. Orman, U.S. Army, World War II, November. Ethel B. Hamilton, U.S. Army WAC, World War II, November. Clarence Bartlett, U.S. Navy, Vietnam, November. Edward Gerard DeRoche, U.S. Navy, World War II, November. Roderick W. Gebelson, U.S. Army, Vietnam, November. Donald Edward Sloat, U.S. Navy, Korea, Vietnam, November. Carl Andrew Henderson, U.S. Navy, Korea, November. Robert Chip Johnson, U.S. Army, Vietnam, December. Edward Joseph Kelly, U.S. Navy, World War II, December. Matthew Higgins, U.S. Air Force, Korea, December. George Shaw, U.S. Army, World War II, December. Ralph Morrow, U.S. Marine Corps, Korea, January 2016. Joseph R. Melanio, U.S. Army, Vietnam, January. Stephen Schneider, U.S. Army, Vietnam, January. Victor J. Pelletier, U.S. Army, World War II, January. Thomas E. Brasher, U.S. Army, National Guard, Vietnam, January. Walter M. Bieber, U.S. Army Air Force, World War II, January. Michael Vernon Vaughn, U.S. Marine Corps, Vietnam, February. Richard Plant, U.S. Navy, Vietnam, February. Donald Jack McCurlin, U.S. Army Air Force, World War II and military retiree, February. Edward Andrews Bermel Jr., U.S. Navy, Korea, March. Dennis G. Anderson, U.S. Navy, Vietnam, March. Robert Thompson, U.S. Marine Corps, Vietnam, March. George Rafferty, U.S. Army, Korea, April. Edwin Ashbeck, U.S. Army, Vietnam, April. Francis Marshall, U.S. Navy, Vietnam, April. James Groff, U.S. Navy, U.S. Army, National Guard, military retiree, Vietnam, April. James J. Sleesman, U.S. Navy, Vietnam, May. Stanley T. Crocker, U.S. Air Force, World War II, Korea, May. Charles D. Roberts, U.S. Army, Vietnam, May. Ralph Hirschfeld, U.S. Army, Korea, May. We join together in honoring the memory of not only these veterans, but of all our nation's heroes. Thank you.